This is Senior Algebra Section 7.3, Finding Least Common Denominators. So today we're looking at least common denominators and rewriting expressions here. So we start with example 1. Example 1, review here. We have 5, 12, 7 15ths. Finding the least common denominator here. So I have 12 and 15 on the bottom here. One way to do it, again, is to write out the multiples of 12. 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. Do the same thing with 15, 15, 30, 45, 60. Kind of do it that way. Or kind of that guess and check approach here to get 60. Well, let's remember here the other way to do it here. That will become more useful when we get to expressions here. So when we have 12, we could break 12 down. And they get 12 as 3 times 4 and 4 as 2 times 2. So we could write 12 as 2 times 2 times 3. 15, I can do the same thing, 3 and 5. So 15 is 3 times 5. Now again, when I talk about the least common denominator, I'm looking for all of the terms that have to be in both of them. So if I'm looking at 12 here, I know I have 2, 2, and 3. So I know those are going to be in it, at least. So I have the 2 and the 2 there. I also have a 3, so I know there's a 3 that's going to be in it here. Now, I have a 3 and 15 as well, but I don't need both of them. All I'll need is one of them here. And then I look at 15. 15 has a 5 in it. Well, if 15 has a 5 in it, the common denominator would have to have a 5 in it as well. And notice here, if I multiply these together, 2 and 2 is 4, 3 and 5 is 15, 4 and 15 is 60. It's a little different way to go about doing it. If we look at B, typically the easiest thing would be to multiply 8 and 10 together to get a common denominator, but that is not the lowest here. So with 8 and 10, if I count by 10s, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, can 8 multiply by one of them? Yeah, 8 times 5, that's 40, so I think it's going to be 40. Now the x's here, they each have an x, so my common denominator is going to have an x in it as well. Again, anything that's in one of them is going to have to be in the common denominator part. Now again, could I do 8 is 2, 2, and 2, and 10 is 5 and 2? And then look and go, okay, well, I know it has to have all of those 2's in there and a 5. Notice I don't have to pick the other 2 from that 10 because we already have it in the 8. And 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 gives us our 40. Now in C, we look at the number for 6 and 4. Probably wouldn't need to write anything down for that. That's going to give us 12 here. Now, what about the x's here? I have 2 x's here. I have 3 x's here. Again, x squared is really x times x. X cubed is x times x times x. I have to have as many as I have in all of them. So I'm going to have 3 x's in it. So the common denominator would be 12x cubed. So then we move on and we look at expressions here. I look at the bottoms here. I have 5m, I have m squared minus 3m. So 5m I can think of as 5 times m. M squared minus 3m, I'm going to take out an m and then write m minus 3. Now again, the common denominator has to have all of these elements in it. All of those bits in it. So I know it's going to have, if I look at the first one, I know it's going to have a 5. I know it's going to have an m in it. Now look at the second one. Are there any repeats? Yep, I already have the m, so I don't need another one here. Okay, that one has 1m, that one has 1m, I don't need another one. But it does have an m minus 3. So I do need that. So my common denominator is 5m times m minus 3. I would tend to leave it like this. I wouldn't multiply it in. Definitely not necessary, and it's probably advantageous not to as well. So take a few seconds, copy B down here. If I look at B, a lot of things going on. I'm going to factor everything. So, first one, x minus 5, x plus 1. Second one, x minus 5, x plus 4. And the third one, x minus 5, x minus 5. Now again, for a common denominator, it has to have all of the elements in it. We don't need to repeat any, but it has to have all of them. So if I look at the first one, I know it has an x minus 5 and x plus 1. So I'm going to start there. I know it has to have those two things. So from the first one in red, I got x minus 5, x plus 1. In the second one now, if I look, I have an x minus 5 and an x plus 4. I already have an x minus 5 down there, so I don't need another one here. But I do need the x plus 4. I don't have that down yet. And then the last one I look, I have x minus 5 and x minus 5. Now, I already have one x minus 5 there, so I don't need that one. But since that one has 2 in it, I have to have 2 in my denominator here. So I'm going to have an x minus 5 as well. Now, you could write this x minus 5 squared, or x minus 5 times x minus 5, and then x plus 1 and x plus 4. Again, I would not multiply it out at this point. You're done. That's all you need to do here to find the common denominator. So remember, how do we use common denominators? Well, we use it to change fractions. We use it to add fractions together. We're adding fractions together in the next section here. In this one, we're just going to change and rewrite the fractions here. So 50x, I'm going to think as 2 times 25 times x, and then I have 25 on the other one. Now again, they have to have the same things in them for a common number. So that has a 2 in it and another x. Well, this one has to have a 2 and an x in it. And again, the rule is what? If I do it to the bottom, I have to do it to the top, because that's really multiplying by 1, which doesn't change it. We're just rewriting it. So what's the question mark going to be? What am I going to end up with? 18x squared. Then the last one here, again, I'm going to factor it first here. So I have 12x over, I'm going to take an x out of the bottom. And I have x times x plus 8. On the second one, I'm going to take an x out. And then I'm going to factor that as well. Now I'll do it above here. X squared plus 4x minus 32. Now again, you have to be pretty good at factoring here, but we've done enough practice. We know it's going to be x and x. What multiplies to negative 32 adds to 4, positive 8, and negative 4. So at this point I look, what do I have in common? I have the x, I have the x plus 8. What do I have in the one on the right that I do not have on the left? Oh, the x minus 4. So in order to get them the same, I'd have to multiply the left side by x minus 4 over x minus 4. Again, they're the same thing, so it doesn't change it. So what am I going to be left with? 12x times x minus 4. You could leave it like that. You could multiply it in. That would be okay too, and get 12x squared minus 48x. Either one would be fine.